The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday after a hectic weekend in the Rib, and we get, as we do now, the new normal. We start the show with the most accurate report of COVID from our COVID expert.
There was 1,537 new cases in Fall River. There's still 79 deaths, and that was as of 6/12. The mayor doesn't report deaths over the weekend because he says he can't get them from the Department of Health. There was 105,603 statewide cases, 7,624 state deaths, 7,933 Bristol County COVID cases. So the mayor believes the numbers are going in the right direction. So I'll concede that message to him, although I'm waiting to see what happens. As I wrote in the Weekend Flush about the other states, we've been complaining here in Massachusetts that we are not reopening the economy fast enough. But in states which just have blanketly reopened without any cause or concern, they are having huge spikes. Florida alone had 2,500 spikes in one day, 2,500 new cases in one day. So when you're looking at communities like that and states like that, and they're having these spikes, what's going to happen there? Are they going to have to go back to everything being locked down? There's going to be a question where, public health and public safety is going to have to take a front seat to the economy, and that's the sad part about it. The economy is going to suffer. When you're looking at the fact that Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, they've all reopened, and they're saying they're doing it with social distancing and masks are required and blah, 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 blah. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens as newer and newer cases come out of the state of Florida. Even Alaska has had spikes. Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Florida, Kentucky, New Mexico, North Carolina, Mississippi, Oregon, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. Those are the states that have had spikes since they've reopened their economies. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to be handled.
Yeah, and there's also an alternate perspective, I guess, because I've been looking at this now for months, and it's getting me really, it's driving me crazy because of the reaction now. Everybody's in a panic. Are we setting a new precedent that every time we have a new disease and it kills anybody, that we're going to shut down the country, basically shut down the world? They had a bubonic plague in Europe, and Europe's still there. It wiped out a huge portion of Europe. It's called nature and survival of the fittest. And we have learned to violate the rules of nature and survival. We are the only species that can beat the laws of natural selection. So this disease affects a very small segment of people. They have a ton of people that are asymptomatic. They've now determined that the asymptomatic people do not transmit it that much. Many people are being tested, so obviously the number of cases is going to be going up because some of these people that are asymptomatic are walking around without it. So I'm not sure, CJ. What do we have to do? Do we have to look and re-examine our position? Look, we know who is susceptible. We know that elderly people who have multiple conditions are extremely susceptible. So have we learned enough about this virus, or if these people don't want to stay home, they might get infected and die? And is that going to be on society or on them now? Now that we've determined that these people are at risk, are we going to have to shut down the rest of the country for a long time and fundamentally destroy the country? This is a serious, this has become a serious thing in our culture because it's also social conditioning. The government is conditioning people to follow their orders and give up their rights. And anybody who understands, there's a lot of banter going around about fascism, but that's how fascism rises. Fear among the public, whether it's economic fear in Germany or whether it's fear of being invaded by another country. When people begin to give up their fundamental rights to make their own choices, we have a problem, because that's when authoritarian governments begin to rise, and they're fundamentally conditioning everybody in this country to just nod their head and say, "Shut up, go back into your house for another 2 or 3 months," and nobody can open. Well, if you're 78 years old or 83 years old and you want to go get your hair done, you got 16 different conditions, and you go there, is it society's fault or is it your fault now that we've identified that many, many people have this and it's no worse than a common cold? So I don't know. This is a really complicated issue on a lot of fronts.
Oh, there's no question about that. And one of the things that, I would love to see a study on, and I mean, I just did a quick search on Google about the number of deaths from coronavirus to the number of deaths with the flu, because everyone compares them constantly as, there have been more deaths from the flu than there have been from coronavirus. Well, now it's starting to shorten that distance. The number of deaths is starting to be shortened, and the number of cases is widening over the cases of the flu. So as the pandemic proceeds, you're going to see the gap shorten between them, and then all of a sudden the gap's going to get wider, where coronavirus is potentially going to be the winner or loser, whatever the case you want to call it, of the number of cases and the number of deaths. And that's the questionable part of the whole thing.
Well, there are a lot more questions. Like there have been reports, and there are allegations, but there have been reports that there are many cases of deaths that were not coronavirus, that were attributed to the coronavirus.
Correct. I've heard that same thing.
So that's another issue that has to be dealt with. And of course, look, we have thousands of deaths every year from the flu. There are still deaths in other parts of the world from viruses that have been and diseases that have been eradicated in Western society. The fact is that, and most people do know that you cannot wipe out 100% of virtually anything. They've tried that, and that's why we have super bacteria and super viruses, because they find an antibiotic that wipes out 99% of bacteria, and who's left? All the bacteria that's on juices. They're all in the gym pumping iron, and they survive. So when they survive, they begin to grow again. You're growing the strongest bacteria, and now we have bacteria that's actually untreatable. There are that are impervious to antibiotics, and the reaction of the society to have zero anything flies in the face of the reality you can't 100% cure anything or kill anything. You can't, because the thing is, look what's happened. We've created super bacteria by attempting to totally eradicate something, when you just have to accept that there are some people who are going to unfortunately die from certain things, and you isolate who the people that are most susceptible, and those people have to take special precautions. It's just like people with diabetes can't sit there and go to Greg's and eat every chocolate cake in Greg's and not expect to have physical physical repercussions. So this is a real, this again gets back to the American society of nobody can be inconvenienced, nobody can be sick. We have to eliminate everything, which is absurd. It's an absolute it's ludicrous to think that you can eliminate racism, you can eliminate disease, you can't eliminate you cannot eliminate 100% of anything. It's been proven. As a matter of fact, you can't ever eliminate anything because I think there's a law in physics that says matter can't be created, can neither be created nor destroyed. It just comes back in another form.
Correct. Correct.
So the reality is, this is all BS, and it's showing the society that we have of everybody has to get their way, and now that whatever they call that zone up in Seattle, the idiots have been there for a week or so, and now
the autonomous zone.
Huh?
The autonomous zone.
Well, they're changing the name from whatever it was. What was it? The crack zone or something, or the crack? I don't know. I don't pay attention because they're all lunatics. So they now they want to change their name, and everybody wants everything, and everybody complains about everything. And the fact is, look, the world is a difficult place. It's not always going to be your way, and you have to learn how to adapt and improvise to survive. And we've begun to lose that. Not begun. We're well into a phase where we're creating generations that have no ability to adapt because they have to have everything their way, or there's a problem. And this is why this country is beginning to unravel.
Well, it's interesting you should bring that up because here in New England, we're very familiar of a TV program called the Phantom Gourmet, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they got blasted this weekend over on social media because of the comments made by the co-host and CEO. And what's very interesting is that the Phantom Gourmet, this is what's happening now. The Phantom Gourmet will stop airing at least temporarily on WBZ and WSBK after CEO and co-host Dave Andelman posted several times on his personal Facebook page about the protests. His page is now private. Here's some of the things he posted. "We don't take a knee here. This is America, not Game of Thrones," one post read. "Your desperate need for approval from those who hate cops and country regardless is pathetic. Have a great day." Other posts appeared to be critical of the Black Lives Matter movement and mocked COVID-19 restrictions. Andelman, who also co-owns the Mendon Twin Drive-In and the soon-to-open Marshfield Drive-In, apologized Friday on the Phantom Gourmet's Facebook page, which is interesting. He said, "I want to apologize. I maintain my own Facebook page. I made comments on that page that were inappropriate, hurtful, and wrong regarding the Boston protest. I support everyone's right to free speech and free assembly. I too desire racial and social justice. My record of philanthropy and business reflects this. I made a mistake. I apologize. I feel terrible. We all make mistakes. And I ask for your forgiveness. Dave Andelman, CEO of Phantom Gourmet Incorporated."
Well, good, because I'll tell you what, he apologized to everybody else because he's become what all of these weak-kneed wimps have done. He's become an apologist and apologized for what? For saying he won't take a knee? He didn't say he was against Black Lives Matter. He didn't say he was against people being victimized. He made a statement that says, "I won't take a knee," just like Drew Brees did. And the gutless wimps had to say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize." Apologize for what? For saying that you have a constitutional right to have an opinion other than what the psycho left wants you to think? This is absolute BS. Now we've eliminated the ability. This is America. You have a right to be a Nazi in this country. You can't kill anybody. You can't fire up the gas chambers anymore. But the fact is that the Supreme Court of the United States has allowed them the right to black people. Okay? Yeah, is there racism? There will always be racism as long as there are human beings. See, that's another one of their absolute lunatic logic that they can eliminate racism. Well, go tell that to Ireland. Go tell that to go over in the Middle East and tell that to the Muslims who kill each other. The Shiites kill the Sunnis, and the Sunnis kill the Shiites, and the Kurds kill them, and they kill each other when there's nobody else around to kill. You know, the old saying that man is the only animal that can blush and the only one needs to is proven every single day. When you think you can eliminate bad people, you are delusionary. And Edelman, especially with his heritage, you know, you gotta read Nehemiah again. You know, everybody's afraid to say what they believe. Everybody's afraid to speak up and say, listen, I can be against the murder, and it was murder from what I've seen, of George Floyd. But you have no right to tell me I can't say I will not take a knee, that I respect the flag and I won't do it, and I feel it's disrespect. And whether you agree or disagree is irrelevant. What is relevant is that's what I feel, and I have a right as an American to feel that way. And I'm not going to apologize. Why? Because he's afraid somebody's not going to go to his drive-in? Remember, all you clowns, go up to the Holocaust Museum and go to the Boston Holocaust at Nathaniel Hall and read the speech from Nehemiah that I always paraphrase or quote. When they came for the trade unionists, I said nothing because I wasn't a trade unionist. When they came for the Catholics, I said nothing because I wasn't a Catholic. When they came for the Jews, I said nothing because I wasn't a Jew. And when they came for me, there was no one left to speak. And he was a Lutheran minister. The reason this country is great is people have a right to speak. They have a right to their opinion. And they have a right to have an alternate opinion, which sometimes results in a middle ground opinion, which everybody can live with. But this radical left, radical right, we've said time and time again, there's no such thing as good radicalism, whether it's radical Islam, radical Christianity, or radical anything. These radicals have taken over the country, and everybody's apologizing to them. What did he say? Read that again, CJ. What did he say that he had to apologize for? That he won't take a knee?
Right.
So he's apologizing because he won't bow down? Because he said he might think all lives matter. People are being fired that says all lives matter. You tell me that my life doesn't matter. I'm not saying that what happened to George Floyd. I support the prosecution of those officers to the full extent of the law. I support justice, as I said with Malcolm X. I want the truth no matter who tells it. And I want justice no matter who it's for or against. I want justice for George Floyd. But I'm not supporting anarchy and the suppression of freedom of speech to get there. Just like sticking us in our house. Because all this stuff ties together. Social conditioning and all this stuff that's happening. This is crap. Does anybody have a set out there? Grow a set, Edelman. Never mind worrying about your drive-in. Apologize for what, I ask you? Well, they may accept your apology, but I don't accept your apology. Now I dislike you. Because you don't have the courage to stand for your own convictions.
Well, it's interesting to see how this whole Black Lives Matter movement is creating such a turmoil in our society. I mean, we've got them now. They want to change the name of Faneuil Hall. Faneuil Hall has been called Faneuil Hall for how long? And they want to change the name of Faneuil Hall. They want to remove the statues of Abraham Lincoln, who I think was one of the greatest presidents of this country. They want to change, everybody who turns around and says anything against Black Lives Matter, automatically they're no good. So we got to take them off the air. We've got to take them out of business. It's just one thing after another. And what amazes me is it's okay for one group of people to have the freedom of speech. But when an opposing group of people exercise their freedom of speech, they're crucified for it.
Yeah.
And it's the same rule for everybody, whether it be for me, for you, for Black, for white, for Hispanic, for Latino, for Chinese, Japanese, Taiwanese, whoever it may be. That's the way it is. The Muslims, the Catholics, the Protestants, the Lutherans, the Jews, it's all the same. You all have the same rights. And you cannot say you don't. And to turn around and to vilify and crucify someone because they don't agree with your position, that it affects their ability to earn an income and their ability to do their job, I think is wrong. Yet that makes you no better than anyone else.
No, you're right. And let me tell you something. You can't erase history. You need history, because if you don't learn history, you're doomed to repeat it. And we're repeating it now. We're allowing anarchy to take over the country. This is like Nazi Germany. These anarchists want you to have one opinion. Deutschland über alles. That's it. Everybody except the Aryans would be exterminated. They couldn't have an opinion. That's what Nehemiah said. There was no one left to speak out against these people. So what are we going to do? We're going to eliminate every building and erase history? You can't erase history. What's happened, happened. Let those monuments serve as a reminder. You don't have to agree, but they're a reminder of not only our successes, but our mistakes. So are we going to eliminate all the concentration camps that are still in Europe that are reminders of the Holocaust? I'm sure the American Nazi Party would be happy to that. They have contended even till today that the Holocaust never happened. So let's take this theory to its next step. Let's eliminate Auschwitz, Dachau, Buchenwald, and all the other concentration camps that were liberated. Let's eliminate the Holocaust Museum. Let's take all the depictions that hang in there, some of which were donated in my father's name, because he took them at Buchenwald, and pretend it never happened, so it can happen again. This is absurd. These people are lunatics, and because it's an election year, politicians get so nervous when people begin, because they don't see America and what it was based on: freedom of speech, freedom of expression, whether you agree or disagree. What they see is the next election. If we agree with these people, will they vote for us and we can take power? That's all they think about.
And that's what's happening right now. Just look at the presidential race.
It is absolutely, it's deplorable. It's deplorable. And I'll tell you, this nation is on its way to ruin. Somebody doesn't step up to the plate and start acting like an American. Abraham Lincoln statues, they defaced World War II statues. The nearly 1 million men who were killed and wounded in World War II. They deface a memorial, because I got news for you, clown faces that are running around, or whatever the hell you want to call that lunatic zone. You'd be speaking German right now if it wasn't for those monuments.
That's right. That's right. And the interesting thing is, when we look at the politics side of this, when you look at things that Obama has done and some of the things that Trump has done, they're identical. Obama was praised for them. Trump is crucified for them. They're the same thing, but because it's a different person, a crucifixion has to come out of it. And it's based upon the fact that Obama was a very well-liked president. There's no question about that. But Trump is a very well-liked president by many, many people, and he's also disliked by many, many people. And that's just the nature of politics. Not everyone's going to be liked. And there are many detractors from Obama, but we didn't hear about them. We hear a lot about the detractors from Trump because Trump attacks the social fabric of a certain population, that being the welfare system, the social state system. He doesn't believe in the social state. He believes in capitalism. And because of that, and he attacks those social state systems, it creates a problem. And people are very vocal about that. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I think this president is right on every issue? No. But he's right on a lot of them for his position. Let me make that clear again. He's right on a lot of them for his position. And we're always right on our position. Doesn't mean that you're right for my position or for your position, Chip, but for his position, he's right.
And he has a right to his position. He has a right to be right or to be wrong.
Exactly.
Roosevelt once said, it's up, the president should be criticized when he does something wrong, and he should be praised when he does something right. But that doesn't happen in today's society because people don't understand the simple fact that you can never get in somebody's brain. Will you eliminate all racism? Will you eliminate all prejudice? If you think that, you need your head examined, because all you have to do is look at what happens in these countries that are homogeneous, and they kill each other over religion, like the Shiites and the Sunnis.
Yeah, exactly.
Personal hatred and stuff like that, what's in people's minds, you cannot eliminate. What we can do is have a society that eliminates it and makes it unacceptable and minimizes it. But these people want nirvana, and we're going to get hell on earth because they're all a bunch of pinheads.
Exactly. And on that note, we'll leave. Thanks for watching, everyone. It's always great to be in your home and to be with you. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay angry, and share us with your friends.